The Bond Beyond Names. Part 2, Rebirth and Resolve. The second life of Zhao Yang unfolded with a clarity that his first had lacked. From a moment he opened his eyes as a child reborn. He carried the memories of humiliation and despair like scars etched upon his soul. Where others saw only innocence in his gaze, Zhao Yang's eyes held the weight of experience, the quiet determination of one who had already lived and lost. His parents in this life were modest farmers, tending to rice paddies that stretched across the valley. They were kind, hard-working people, and Zhao Yang cherished them deeply. Yet even as a boy, he knew his destiny lay beyond the fields. He studied relentlessly, memorizing the classics, learning arithmetic, and observing the rhythms of trade whenever merchants passed through their village. By the time he reached adolescence, Zhao Yang's brilliance was undeniable. He could calculate profits faster than seasoned traders, predict harvest yields with uncanny accuracy, and negotiate with charm that left elders astonished. His parents, though bewildered by his precociousness, supported him, allowing him to travel to nearby towns to apprentice with merchants. Zhao Yang threw himself into the world of commerce with fervor. He remembered the mistakes of his past life, how he had surrendered his dignity for love, how he had allowed himself to be caged by Minister Wei's cruelty. This time he vowed he would live for himself. He would build an empire, trade so vast that no insult could diminish him, no betrayal could undo him. He began with small ventures, buying grain from farmers at fair prices and selling it in towns where shortages drove demand. His honesty won him loyal partners, and his foresight ensured profits. Soon, he expanded into silk, tea, and porcelain, weaving together networks that spanned provinces. He traveled with caravans, braving deserts and mountains, learning the languages of foreign traders, and mastering the art of diplomacy. His reputation grew swiftly. People spoke of Zhao Yang not merely as a merchant, but as a sage of commerce. Scholars admired his wisdom, peasants blessed his generosity, and nobles respected his integrity. He became a figure admired across the empire, his name synonymous with prosperity and fairness. Yet Zhao Yang remained cautious. He remembered the folly of his past life, the way he had surrendered his dignity for love. He kept his heart guarded, refusing to be swayed by sweet words or fleeting affection. He told himself that love was a distraction, a trap that could undo even the strongest man. Still, there were nights when loneliness pressed upon him. He would sit by the fire, listening to the crackle of wood, and wonder perhaps he was destined to walk alone. He would recall the warmth he once sought in Minister Wei's arms, only to find coldness and cruelty. He would remind himself that such longing was dangerous, that it had cost him everything once before. And so he buried his desires beneath layers of discipline, convincing himself that solitude was safer than companionship. But fate, ever mischievous, had other plans. It was during a grand expedition that Zhao Yang's path veered toward destiny. He had organized a caravan to transport silk and tea across treacherous mountain passes, aiming to open trade with distant provinces. The journey was perilous, the roads narrow, and the threat of bandits ever present. Yet Zhao Yang pressed forward, his mind focused on the promise of profit and the expansion of his empire. One evening, as the caravan wound through a dense forest, shadows emerged from the trees. Bandits, armed with blades and bows, descended upon them with feral cries. The merchants panicked, oxen bellowed, and chaos erupted. Zhao Yang, though unarmed, stood firm, shouting commands to rally his men. But the bandits were ruthless, their numbers overwhelming. Just as despair threatened to consume him, the thunder of hooves split the night. A troop of soldiers, clad in armor that gleamed even in the dim light, charged into fray. At their head rode a man of commanding presence, his voice cutting through the din like steel. The bandits faltered, their courage broken, and fled into the forest. Zhao Yang, breathless and shaken, looked upon his savior. The man dismounted, his gaze steady, his bearing noble. He was a marquis, a lord of the empire, whose authority extended beyond the reach of petty thieves. His name was Marquis Shun, and his arrival had turned certain death into salvation. Marquis Shun was unlike any man Zhao Yang had ever met. His presence carried authority, but it was tempered by kindness. He spoke with clarity, his words measured, his gaze unwavering. Where Minister Wei had wielded power like a whip, Shin carried it like a shield, protecting those under his care. In the days following the bandit attack, Shin insisted on escorting Zhao Yang's caravan to the mountains. "It is not safe to travel alone," he said simply, as though it were the most natural thing in the world. Zhao Yang, though reluctant to accept help, found himself grateful. The Marquis' soldiers moved with discipline, their vigilance ensuring that no further ambushes threatened the journey. At night, when the caravan rested, Zhao Yang and Shin would sit together by the fire. They spoke of trade and governance, of the challenges of managing men and resources, of the balance between ambition and duty. Zhao Yang was surprised by Shin's curiosity. Unlike most nobles, he did not dismiss commerce as beneath him. Instead, he listened intently, asking questions, considering Zhao Yang's insights with genuine respect. One evening, Shin turned to him and said, "You see the world with clarity, Zhao Yang. You understand not only profit, but people. That is rare." Zhao Yang felt a warm stir within him, a recognition that went beyond admiration. Yet fear lingered. He remembered the chains of silk, the humiliation of being called wife, the agony of neglect. He hesitated, guarding his heart even as it yearned to open. But Shin was patient. He did not press, did not demand. He simply remained, a steady presence beside Zhao Yang, offering companionship without expectation. Slowly, Zhao Yang began to lower the walls he had built around himself. As the caravan reached its destination, Zhao Yang realized his gratitude had deepened into something more. He found himself seeking Shin's company, listening for his voice, watching for his smile. It was a dangerous longing, one he had sworn never to indulge. Yet it grew, persistent and undeniable. One night, beneath a sky scattered with stars, Shin spoke with quiet conviction. "You are a man of worth, Zhao Yang. Do not diminish yourself. If ever we were to join our lives, know this. You would not be my wife, nor beneath me. You would be my husband, my equal. I would stand behind you in every challenge, and together we would face the world." The words struck Zhao Yang like a bell ringing in the stillness of night. They were not the honeyed lies of a corrupt official, but the sincere vow of a man who understood the value of dignity. For the first time, Zhao Yang allowed himself to believe that love could exist without chains, without humiliation, without the loss of self. He looked at Shin, his heart trembling, and whispered, "In my past life, I gave myself away to a man who saw me as nothing. I thought love meant surrender, but it brought only misery. I swore I would never make that mistake again." Shin reached out, his hand steady. "Then let us redefine love together. Not surrender, but partnership. Not chains, but freedom. You are not alone, Zhao Yang. You never will be, if you choose to walk beside me." Tears welled in Zhao Yang's eyes, though he tried to hide them. For so long he had carried the weight of loneliness, convincing himself that solitude was safer than companionship. Yet here was a man who offered not chains but wings, not possession but quality. The journey ended, but their bond did not. Shin visited Zhao Yang often, and Zhao Yang found himself welcoming him with a joy he could no longer deny. They spoke of trade and politics, of dreams and fears, of the future they might build together. Slowly, Zhao Yang's guarded heart began to open, not with reckless abandon but with cautious hope. And so, the seeds of a new destiny were sown.